Batman is back in the newest relaunch by Matt Fraction. This is Volume 1. Enjoy. Gotham City, Burnley and 3rd Avenue. Jim Gordon leans back against the hood of his patrol car and smiles at his new partner as she hands him a hot coffee. "No rain," he comments, motioning to the sky which shows dark clouds and flashes of thunder. "Beg pardon, Commissioner?" Officer Espinosa asks. He smiles at her and explains that even though they've had thunder and lightning, there's been no rain. And it's just Officer Gordon now, he reminds her, since he is no longer the commissioner. Suddenly, they both look up as a flash of lightning illuminates the sky, and something leaps past the lightning. A large, crocodile-like man slams into a nearby meatpacking truck. Officer Espinosa reaches for her gun, but Gordon shakes his head and goes for his radio. "Easy, officer. We're gonna call this one in. Work in Gotham long enough and you'll learn. You always call for backup," Gordon tells her. Meanwhile, at Arkham Towers, Batman stares out the freshly destroyed wall of the secure room that once held Waylon Jones. Wind whips through the opening and blows Batman's cape in the breeze as he looks out at his city. Getting pretty tired of this, he sighs as he turns back to Dr. Zeller. She nods and taps her tablet. "We're as shocked as you, Batman," she says, explaining that Waylon Jones self-reported for treatment and was free to leave at any time, so it didn't make sense why he would break out. "You're new here, Doctor. Killer Croc hasn't been Waylon Jones for a long time," Batman tells her as he steps back into the room, explaining that it helps to keep people's identities separate from their villain personas. "It's easier that way, when they inevitably disappoint you," he tells her, as he reaches down and gently picks up a discarded stuffed dinosaur. Dr. Zeller shows him the tablet, explaining that Waylon had begun to mutate again as he shed his skin, becoming more Croc-like. His mind had begun to regress, and this had actually made him more gentle, more childlike. "But then, your mutating man-killing monster baby wants to go out and play," Batman reminds her as he motions to the hole in the wall. She stands next to Batman and looks out at the city, explaining that Waylon is probably afraid, and fear can make people do unpredictable things. Batman glances down at her. "Have you called the police?" he asks. Dr. Zeller shakes her head. "I may be new, Batman, but I'm not stupid. I called you first," she tells him. Batman nods as he prepares to leap out into the air. "When the police do come, stall. If they find Croc before I do, they'll shoot to kill," he tells her before leaping, his cape snapping out like wings and catching the air as he glides away. The city sweeps by below him, its citizens doing their best to live their lives. Meanwhile, Police Commissioner Vandal Savage stands before his officers and introduces the new line of protection for Gotham City. He motions to the fully armed and armored tactical officers that stand behind him. "Listen up. I'm bringing in a force multiplier to your street presence from the world of private security. Tactical urban combat officers," he says, explaining that their job is to execute high-intensity security operations, and that all police should call a Tuco unit for backup whenever dealing with an augmented criminal. The police officers begin to murmur among themselves as they stare at the black-clad tactical unit. Finally, one officer raises his hand. "Commissioner Savage, what do we do if we see, him?" the officer asks. Savage stares at him. "His time will come. Batman can't outrun Gotham justice," he tells them all. Meanwhile, Batman roars through the dark streets of Gotham in the Batmobile, a holographic AI version of Alfred riding beside him. "Rather moody and silent this evening, Master Bruce," Alfred notes before asking where they are going. Playing a hunch. Batman growls as he points the car towards Robinson Park and the Gotham City Museum. Meanwhile, on the edge of the park, two women are running from a group of street thugs. The creeps jeer and call out to them, shouting for them to come back. One of them stumbles and falls as the gang is suddenly upon them. "Hey, baby girl, be a lot sexier if you smile," the leader sneers. Suddenly, the group is lit up by high-powered headlights, and the Batmobile slams into the crowd before screeching to a stop. The women watch in awe and fear as Batman steps out, knocking out the remaining members of the gang in moments. Finally, the Dark Knight stands before them. The creeps have decided that Robinson Park is their hunting ground. The police don't think it merits a concern. I disagree, Batman says softly as he helps the women to their feet. "Sorry I couldn't get to you sooner," he says. His eyes wander to one of the women's shoulders, where a rare blue butterfly has gently landed. He reaches for the insect and allows his link to the Bat computer to scan it. "Morpho Menelaus, and she's a long way from home," he whispers. Silently, Batman turns away and begins to stalk towards the Gotham Museum. "Wait! You're just leaving us alone?" One of the women shouts in fear, but Batman glances back over his shoulder. "EMT will arrive in 3 minutes. Until then, car, protect them," Batman tells them as he speaks into his wrist computer, and the Batmobile goes into security mode, its scanners searching for threats. Batman steps from the park into the parking lot of the Gotham Natural History Museum, where he finds half-eaten chunks of animal meat left in the lot. "Oh dear, what a mess," Alfred notes as his hologram appears. Batman follows the blood trail inside, where he finds a security officer guarding a woman and her young daughter. The guard's grip tightens on his gun as he reaches for his radio to call the police. But Batman steps up behind him. "Shh, the gun is scaring the child and would only make Croc mad," he whispers as he gently takes the weapon away. He motions for everyone to head out the exit. "Get the civilians out of here and contact Dr. Zeller at Arkham Towers. Do not call the police," Batman whispers as he steps through the Croc-sized hole in the wall. He powers up his bat gauntlets and prepares for a fight. The gauntlets spark as Batman steps into the room, where Croc sees him and turns with a roar. "Come on, Croc, let's get this over with," Batman growls. But Croc suddenly quiets down. His eyes look almost gentle from his animalistic face. Batman powers down his bat gauntlets as Croc quietly turns away, and Batman notices that the butterflies have landed all over him. You bad. So go," Wayland rumbles softly. Batman steps forward gently. "Master Bruce, what if Dr. Zeller is correct? Some creatures do change. What if some eternal cycle has begun within him, and even if only for this moment, he's become something childlike?" Hollow Alfred asks. "A child alone, in a violent, terrible world that he cannot understand, drowning in fear." Batman looks down at Wayland as he fully depowers his bat gauntlets. Quietly, he pulls off his cowl and sits beside the man that he once called an enemy. Bruce looks up and stares at the model of a giant T-Rex that Wayland stares at in awe. "You know, Wayland, I used to have one of these in my house," Bruce says softly. Wayland nods his head gently. "Big house," he rumbles. Yeah, it was," Bruce says as he smiles at the T-Rex. Croc turns and looks at Bruce. "You head new now," he says with surprise. "Me head new, but bad now. Lost," he says as he gently holds up an animal leg. "I ate the zoo," he whispers with a sad burp. I know you did, buddy. I know, Bruce says gently with a nod. Croc looks back up at the T-Rex. Him head like me up there. Bad. Scary. Hungry, he says as he turns back to Bruce. Can't think. Head bad. Maybe am bad, he says as he taps his head. Shortly, Dr. Zeller arrives with the others from Arkham. Croc's stuffed dinosaur in her hand. Hello, Waylon. I came to help, she says, holding out the dinosaur and offering to take him home. Waylon gets to his feet as Batman quickly pulls his cowl back on. Head bad. Made home bad. Am bad, he rumbles gently at her. But Dr. Zeller shakes her head, showing no signs of fear as she walks up to him. You made a bad choice, Waylon. Now you can make a good choice. Come home. Let me help you, she says. Waylon ponders on this for a moment before nodding. Okay. He turns back to Batman. Home now. She help. Who help you? He asks Batman. My head is okay, Waylon. I don't need help, Batman tells him. If you say so, Croc says before handing him the stuffed dinosaur, turning and walking away. Later, Batman has returned to the bunker beneath Pennyworth Manor. Quietly, he puts the stuffed dinosaur on a shelf, a small smile playing across his lips. Some trophy, he whispers to himself. But the moment of quiet contemplation passes as the bat radio chirps. Hey boss, you there? Robin asks. Always, Robin. It's the emergency frequency, he tells him. Is there anybody on the police we're friendly with these days? Robin asks cautiously. I don't like the sound of that. Why? Batman growls. Meanwhile, across town, Robin slowly raises his hands as two police officers hold him at gunpoint. The past. The sun shines down on Wayne Manor as the family finds themselves outside. Damian looks up from his place washing the Batmobile as Bruce and Tim draw closer. This is beneath my dignity, Father, Damian groans as he continues to scrub. This infliction of manual labor insults us both, he continues to grumble. Damian, when I insult you, you'll know it, Bruce calls out. Tim is giddy, happy that he is going to learn to drive on the Batmobile. But Bruce smiles and steers him towards a tarp. Hold your horses, Boy Wonder. The Batmobile's an awful lot of car. So, we'll start with this, Bruce says as he pulls the tarp off to reveal an old truck. Tim's smile falls away. Oh, cool. Old trucks are cool, he whispers. Bruce nods. They are. And if you're ever gonna handle the Batmobile, learning a manual transmission comes first. These things, especially with big engines, they can be monsters, Bruce tells him as he opens the door. The present. A delivery driver is driving down the dark streets of Gotham, but is forced to stop by a broken down car blocking the road. Hey, come on! Get that thing out of here! I gotta get unloaded by 4! The driver shouts out his window, but suddenly, a thug appears next to him and waves a gun in his face. The driver slides out of the cab while the other thug opens the back. Come on, come on! One of the thugs whispers as he begins to go through the boxes. Suddenly, there is a gunshot from outside. The man looks out to see his 2 buddies standing over the dead driver. You moron! This wasn't the job! One of them is shouting. I told him not to move! The other yells. Police lights begin to swirl around the streets, and the thug in the back grabs one of the boxes and starts running, yanking off his mask so he can better see as he rounds the corner into an alley. But a shadow leaps out of the night and slams into him from behind. The mask shatters as Robin rolls to a stop on the ground. Heads up, or maybe face off? Would that have been better? We can workshop it, he jokes as he turns back to the fallen goon. The box has fallen to the ground, its powdery substance spilling out. Let's see what you were so eager to make off with. Smack? Drift? Some new drug? Robin asks as he dips a finger and tastes it, surprised to find that it's sweet. The thug rolls over, clutching at his bloody head. Baby formula, he gasps. It's just baby formula. Baby's hungry all the time, he whispers. Robin looks down at him sadly, but the moment is interrupted by the cops appearing. Freeze! Move and I shoot! One of them shouts as they raise their weapons. Robin doesn't take any chances and slowly puts his hands up. He quietly activates the emergency frequency that puts him in touch with Batman. Is there anybody on the police force we're friendly with these days? He whispers. But the thug got to his feet and started running. The cop doesn't hesitate and opens fire. Rounds rip into the man's back, and he falls to the ground. Robin whirls on the cops in anger and shock. You shot him! He yells. The offending police officer doesn't even bat an eye as he readjusts his aim to Robin. Suspects fleeing the scene may be treated as hostile and can be stopped by any means necessary. Now get on the ground, the cop shouts. But Robin shakes his head and tosses a bat bang, using the resulting confusion to leap up onto the fire escapes and make his way towards the rooftops. But the cop starts firing again and again. The rounds follow Robin until one pierces his side. The shock rolls through his body and Robin's foot slips. His eyes widen as he tumbles back towards the pavement below. The past. The truck stalls again, bouncing to a stop. You'll get it. Okay. It's been a long day. We're both getting a little frustrated, Bruce tells him. They slowly start to roll forward again, and suddenly, Damian lands with a jolt on the hood. You've been at this for hours, you incompetent moron! Father, he's a fool! I demand you let me try! Damian shouts through the glass. Bruce cocks an eyebrow at his son. Foot off the clutch, Tim. Now, Bruce orders. The truck jolts to a stop again and tosses Damian to the ground. Oh, excellent, Master Bruce. Well done, Alfred calls. Okay, Tim, one more time. And remember to breathe, Bruce says gently. The present. Tim opens his eyes in the back of the police truck. His hands are cuffed behind him and blood is pooling beneath. You shot me, Tim gasps. The cop nods as he shuts the door. That's what you get for resisting arrest, the bearded cop grunts. Tim struggles to his knees and looks up to find the back of the police truck is full of gang members, none of whom are handcuffed. Figured some of these fellas are friends of yours, so I'm sure they'll keep you company on our way to Central Holding. Better hold on back there, the cop calls, planning on riding them rough through the streets of Gotham. Gonna show Commissioner Savage. We don't need his goon squads to run these streets, the lead officer grumbles. The truck begins to rumble forward, and Tim struggles to his feet. The thugs glare at him and start to move forward. Think we're having a pretty lousy night here, fellas. Let's all just keep cool, yeah? Tim suggests. But the thugs shake their heads. Nah, man. Don't think we will, one of them growls. They rush forward as the truck swerves around a corner. Robin dodges under a punch and twists the man around, kicking out against another thug. The truck hits a pothole and everyone bounces off the ground. Tim lands, gunshot wound first on one of the thugs. Ugh! Boy, Tim groans. The thugs get back to their feet and rush Robin again, but he uses the momentum of the bounces to flip in the back of the truck to get his hands from behind his back. The thugs hesitate for a moment as Robin becomes even more dangerous. He glares at them all as he tenses his muscles and swings his arms out, snapping the chain and back-fisting two of the thugs. Up front, the cops look through the mesh wire in shock at what's going on in the back, unaware that they are driving right towards a bat-spike strip in the road. The truck rolls over the strip, slashing the tires and forcing the truck to come to a screeching stop. Batman steps from the shadows, stalking forward and pulling open the back door. "Rough night?" he asks as he finds Robin sitting on a pile of unconscious goons. "Worse for them," Tim jokes as he struggles to his feet. Batman helps his partner out of the truck, but the cops come around the corner, now armed with a shotgun that he raises at the Dark Knight. "Don't you freaks move!" he shouts. Tim glances at Batman. "Careful, Batman. That one shot a fleeing suspect in the back. Killed him. Shot me too," he tells him as he clutches his side. "Do it again too if I gotta. Him too. I ain't afraid," the cop shouts, the shotgun sights moving back and forth between Batman and Robin. But finally, the man's partner has had enough. "Hey, Vargas, come on," he starts to say, pointing out that Batman and Robin are supposed to be on their side. "Police brutality and murder put us on opposite sides, officers," Batman growls. The lead cop aims his shotgun at Batman, but his partner pulls his pistol and aims it at him. "Eddie, don't do it! I swear to God," he says, warning his partner not to shoot the vigilantes. Batman and Robin look at each other, knowing the situation is about to get worse. Suddenly, both cops shoot and Batman and Robin jump between them quickly. Batman blocks the shotgun blast with his cape, while Robin grabs the other cop's pistol, disassembling it in seconds and dropping it to the ground. But some of the rounds got through, hitting both of the police officers. The vigilantes quickly patch up the wounded cops. "We need to get out of here," Batman growls as he turns back to Robin. But Officer Vargas isn't done yet. He reaches for his fallen weapon and opens fire. The blast hits Batman in the back of the head, and he falls to the ground. The past. Bruce finally calls it, as night has begun to fall over Wayne Manor. Tim is unhappy with himself and sighs. But Bruce points out that the only reason he failed is because he got into his own head. Started believing that he couldn't do it. "I just kept thinking, what if I had to drive the Batmo in an emergency and couldn't get it to move?" Tim says. Bruce smiles at his young partner and puts a hand on his shoulder. "If that time ever comes, Tim, there's nobody I'd want behind the wheel more than you. You're my partner, and I trust you," Bruce says as they walk towards the manor. "And don't call it the Batmo. Nobody calls it that," Bruce whispers. "Nobody calls it that yet," Tim whispers with a smile. The present. Batman's vision is blurry as Tim checks on him. "Batman, you still with me?" he says in a panic. Batman tries to move his neck but feels a sharp pain. Tim helps him to his feet, walking him to the Batmobile before more cops show up. Bruce tries to help as Tim opens the door. "I'm okay. I can drive," Batman gasps. But Tim pushes him into the passenger seat and buckles him up. He gets behind the wheel and stares at the Batmobile in shock. "How many gears does this thing have anyway?" he gasps. 13, Batman whispers. He starts to list them off. "It's got the 9 standard. 3 quantum gears for use during spatio-temporal crisis events. Then there's the secret gear. 13, Batman gasps. Tim nods and buckles his seatbelt. "Secret gear? What does that even mean?" he asks. Batman just motions through the windshield. "It means I have the coolest car in the world. Now drive it," he orders. The engine roars to life, and the two drive off into the night. Later, Savage arrives at the scene. He walks over to the bodies, ignoring the reporter's questions. Silently, he surveys the scene, before smiling and reaching into his suit pocket. Back at the police station, he stands before a bullpen of police officers. "You all know what happened tonight. One officer died, and another was in critical condition. What you might not know is who is responsible for this cowardly attack on our brothers," he says as he holds up the evidence he found at the scene. The cops all stare at the bloody batarang angrily. "Consider these department-wide standing orders. Batman and Robin are now criminal combatants, and enemies of the GCPD. Savage tells them all. Huston Gray holds up his cell phone and begins to record his elderly neighbor. Huston Gray, Civics Project. Take 1. Okay, Miss Marjorie, how has Gotham changed most in your lifetime? Huston asks. The elderly woman smiles as she leans back on her couch, talking about how everything changes in the city, how new buildings go up, neighborhoods change. But Gotham is always Gotham. Outside, gunshots echo in the dark, interrupting the conversation. Huston can't help himself and rushes to the window, climbing out onto the fire escape to try and record the action. His eyes widen in shock as he sees Batman and Robin climbing into the Batmobile below his window. Holy crap, Huston whispers as he pans his phone camera over to the crime scene, where 2 police officers lay in pools of blood. He's still there when the police take control of the crime scene, laying in the shadows, still filming. He zooms in, holding his breath as he watches Police Commissioner Savage pull a batarang from inside his suit jacket. He leans down and dips it in the dead police officer's blood, hiding it below the body, before calling for one of the investigators. Later, Savage stands in the hospital room of the surviving officer. We found evidence placing Batman at the scene. Why wasn't this mentioned in your report? Savage demands. The officer shrugs. I didn't see him, sir, the man says softly. Savage leans in, reaching out and crumpling the man's breathing tube. You and your partner believed you'd apprehended Robin. Batman came to his rescue. Say his name, officer. Put him at the scene, or you'll never say anything again. Savage hisses. The machines begin to beep in distress and a nurse rushes in. Savage steps away as the nurse begins to work, thinking that the man is struggling to breathe on his own. Savage nods. Save your words, Officer Davis, until you're certain you found the right one to say, Savage tells him before walking out of the room. Elsewhere in the hospital, Bruce Wayne walks into the room of Tim Drake to find him and Bernard arguing. Bernard thinks I died in a skiing accident and nobody told me, Tim says to Bruce. Bernard turns on him. Bruce, hi. Step out with me for a second? Tim needs rest, Bernard asks. Bruce nods and notices Tim making a face. They step outside and Bernard thanks Bruce for coming while leading him towards the waiting room. Thanks for coming. You know, Bruce, I realized something funny the other day, Bernard starts to say. Whenever you and Tim go off on your little bro weekends, he always comes back beaten all to hell. Weird, isn't it? Whenever he spends time with you, he gets hurt, Bernard starts to point out. Bruce begins to answer, but Bernard merely snatches the flowers that he brought out of Bruce's hands. These are lovely, thanks, Bernard says before turning and walking away. Bruce stands there in awkward surprise, but his eyes are drawn to the waiting room television, where Hugo Strange is arguing with a woman on a local Gotham news station. The woman has created a medical device known as the Crown of Storms, which should help regulate someone's brain patterns and help those that society has declared insane. Dysfunctional brain activity in the brain can mean profound control dysregulation. My device gives my patients some of that control back. Fear prevents us from having a say in how our minds respond to the chaos of trauma, but it requires trust, care, and time, Dr. Zeller says. But Strange points out that the woman has been taking funding from Wayne Enterprises and that this has compromised her work. Dr. Zeller shakes her head. We received a grant from the Wayne Family Endowment that financed our pilot program, but they have no oversight or input on my work. That money has gone into building a prototype and launching our first human trials, she explains. But Strange stands and slams his hand against the desk. I don't need your trials to tell me I'm human. If Nazis like you applied your devices to Van Gogh, he never would have painted Starry Night, he shouts. But Dr. Zeller just stares at him. Or maybe Van Gogh would have painted 100 starry nights instead of dying in agony at the young age of 37, she says calmly. Meanwhile, Bruce has gone home and begins training with Damian. Between punches and kicks, he asks Damian if he's going to Gotham U, since he got accepted 4 years early. Damian flips over a kick, telling his father that he has studied combat, martial arts, medicine, and criminology. "What subject could I have possibly left unmastered?" he asks. Bruce continues to spar with his son. Literature, history, poetry, he suggests, before catching Damian and pinning him to the wall. "Girls? They have girls at college, Damian. Smart ones," Bruce says with a smirk. "It's okay to be scared of the outside world," he continues. But Damian kicks his father in the crotch, bringing him down before taking off his helmet. "I fear no man, for my mission is righteous. It was you who taught me that," Damian says with frustration as he leaves the sparring studio. Bruce sits on the floor as Alfred appears next to him. "I ever do that to you, Alfred?" Bruce asks. "Physically, sir? No. Spiritually, many, many times," Alfred tells him. Elsewhere in the city, Officer Jim Gordon puts a call to his old friend Harvey Bullock at Bullock Investigations in Alleytown. "Well, if it ain't the world's oldest beat cop, how's the shin splints, Rook?" Bullock asks. Gordon frowns into the phone. "Very funny. I need you to toss up the signal. Something's up with Savage," Gordon tells him. Harvey scratches his head and yawns. "Something strange with Savage? Real genius detective work there, Jim," Harvey says. But he reaches for the stuffed bat he keeps in the office and sticks its suction cups to the window. "Consider the bat signal activated," Bullock tells Gordon. Later that day, Bruce Wayne stands in a meeting in Wayne Enterprises, listening as one of his board members points out that Wayne Enterprises can increase profits by 240% if they were to take some of the government contracts that have been coming their way. "No, I don't care if it's munitions, missiles, tanks, or body armor. I won't put my family name on military equipment," Bruce tells him. He turns to the rest of the board and asks about the Zeller grant. "It's a dog, Mr. Wayne. It's not a profitable venture," they point out. But Bruce shakes his head and heads for the door. "Profit isn't the only thing that makes a venture viable. That will be it for today, everyone. Thanks all. Great meeting," he says. Night falls over the city, and Batman lands on a dark rooftop, finding Bullock and Gordon waiting for him. "How much taxpayer money we spent on that rooftop flashlight we had all these years, when all it takes is a crappy stuffed animal jabbed into a window to get your attention," Bullock points out. Batman shrugs. "Jim's idea, not mine," he growls. Gordon turns to them. "It was a symbol for them, not him. So everyone knew," he starts to say. But Bullock puts up his hands for Jim to stop. Yeah, I remember," he says. Batman steps to the edge of the building as Jim and Harvey explain that Savage is using last night's police shooting to change policy in the GCPD. He wants to leak to the press that he found evidence that you're a cop killer. He's issued orders to shoot on sight and deputized a private mercenary squad to do the job, Jim explains. Batman nods softly. "Everything old is new again," Batman says, watching as a police vehicle speeds down the street, seemingly unaware of a woman crossing the road with her dog. "Hey, Jimmy, how's Tall, Dark, and Spooky gonna do his disappearing act from a little building like this?" Harvey asks with a smile. Batman nods towards the speeding car and the woman. "They're going to hit that woman," he whispers. Harvey and Jim rush to the edge of the building, staring in horror as the car gets closer and closer. "Those maniacs!" Harvey shouts, but it swerves at the last minute. Gordon and Bullock turn to find Batman gone, having slipped away when they weren't looking. "Funny, very funny," Harvey grunts. Elsewhere in the city, in the Wayne Enterprises Experimental Sciences building, two guards slump to the ground, blood oozing from the wounds across their faces. Edward Nigma walks by them, his question mark cane dripping blood as he heads for the elevators. "When are rent-a-cops as useful as a pair of sneakers? When is a drag race a real drag?" Nigma whispers as he makes his way through the building and all the security measures, finally arriving in the room with the Crown of Storms prototype. He holds up a remote and deactivates the security systems, finishing his riddles as he smiles and reaches out for the device. When does the rooster miss the sunrise? And, what did Napoleon do for his toothache? But suddenly, a fist comes out of the shadows and slams into his jaw, cracking his goggles and putting him to the floor. Oh, Edward. Batman sighs as he deactivates the cloaking device on his stealth suit and appears before Nigma. When they're tied up, when it goes down without a car, when the alarm is off, and when he took the crown, Batman says, answering all of Edward's riddles. He leans down. You were really keeping it together for a while, Edward. CEO of Nigma Tech, so rich you could buy your way out of any trouble. What happened? Batman asks. Edward gets to his feet and rushes Batman, trying to grapple him. But Batman twists and throws him across the room, shattering a glass wall. He stalks forward and offers Nigma a hand. Please, Edward, stop this, Batman says softly. But Nigma grabs a shard of glass and tries to stab Batman, whirling quickly and striking again and again. When is the filmography of the Beatles incomplete? Why do ears hate bathrooms? Why did the perpetual motion machine get a ticket? Well, riddle me that! Edward snarls. But Batman easily blocks the blows and knocks the glass away when it needs help, because there was too much noise in the head. And what, Edward? Tell me, why did the perpetual motion machine get a ticket? Batman says as Nigma sinks to the floor, clutching at his head. Because it couldn't stop, Edward whispers. He reaches a shaking hand into his pocket and pulls out a slip of paper. Here, he whispers as he hands the paper to Batman. Batman stares at the long list of riddles that Edward wrote out. What is this? Batman asks. Edward reaches a shaky hand for him. Hours! It took me hours! Make it stop! I just want to make my head stop! Edward whispers. Batman stares at him for a moment before nodding. He reaches into his utility belt and administers Edward a sedative, allowing the criminal to sink to the floor. Meanwhile, at Inky's diner in Lower Gotham, Huston Gray approaches a man sitting in a booth and reading his paper. Mr. Dean, I live in your building. I filmed something. I think it could be news. And that's what you do, right? You're a newspaper man? Huston asks. The old reporter lowers the paper and cocks an eyebrow at the young man. Meanwhile, the Batmobile speeds through the streets of Gotham. Did Hugo Strange put you up to this little smash and grab, Edward? Batman asks. But Nigma is barely conscious in the back seat. Who? What? No, he says. When ain't K around? Edward whispers before slipping back to sleep. Batman sighs and turns the wheel of his car. He glances into the seat next to him and sees Alfred sitting there. Ain't calls attention to itself. K, 1,000? Haram, forbidden. Could be gibberish, Batman says. Alfred nods and glances back at the sleeping villain. He shakes his head. It's an anagram, Master Bruce, with a double negative twist. So, when is K a part of Haram? When it's in Arkham. Batman nods and steps on the gas. I believe the Riddler was telling you that your Dr. Zeller has been using her experimental device on the patients in Arkham, Alfred says, as the Batmobile roars towards Arkham Towers. Night has fallen over the port of Gotham. A truck slowly pulls up and dock workers move to unload it, armed guards standing nearby. The worker pulls open the door and his eyes widen in horror. It's an ambush! He shouts before someone inside opens fire. Later, the news reports the event, showing that the port of Gotham has become an utter war zone. police have arrived on the scene. Inside his secret bunker in the financial district, the Minotaur watches the news. All this over a truck? He asks. His accountant nods his head and taps a few buttons on his keyboard. 2 nights ago, the Clanuri and the Black Fang ran a job they tried to keep off book from us. With the former paying the latter in uncut stones the Fang owed the Thieves Guild. Said the stones were stashed in the truck's gas tank. Of course, some random undergang tried to boost said truck. Chaos ensues. Now, 3 of our partners are locked into a gang war over a stupid coincidence, the accountant explains. He sighs and rubs his eyes before popping a few pills. The Minotaur nods his head slowly. Coincidence only brings good fortune. This is a conspiracy. We have a rat. Find them, he orders. In the meantime, freeze all Taurus accounts at the bank, now. If the only thing these animals understand is money, then none of these animals can have any until they learn to act like men. The Minotaur calls for parley. He growls. I'm in the mood to ruin everybody's night, so call your Morlocks in the sewers and drop the smoke. Meanwhile, in Harborview, Bruce Wayne steps back into the office of Dr. Annika Zeller for the 2nd time in 24 hours. Though this time, he is dressed for more of a business meeting. Dr. Zeller, he calls as he knocks on the door, noticing the woman walking on her treadmill while continuing to work on her advanced computers. I'm working! Talk to Dr. Batman, Dr. Zeller calls over her shoulder. Beg your pardon? Bruce questions as he looks down at her desk in surprise and notices the stuffed bat that declares, I heart GC. Engineering named him Dr. Batman. Ask him your question first, in detail. Everybody's got to go through Batman to get to me, she explains over her shoulder, still working as she sweats. Bruce cocks an eyebrow and looks up at her. I don't understand, he finally says. She shrugs and still doesn't turn around. Are you new here? First time in the building or something? It's office policy, new guy. When people come to me with project-related problems, most times the solution presents itself while they explain it to me. Which, great for them, but it's a total train of thought derailment for me. So, tell the bat. And if he can't help you, then I will, she says. Bruce finally nods and leans down over the stuffed animal. Dr. Batman, why titanographine? It's rare, patented, difficult to make, and expensive, he says. Dr. Zeller doesn't wait to respond. Won't last. We play the long game here, she tells him, explaining that right now the Crown of Storms is difficult and expensive to make, but one day it'll be just like a pacemaker. So, we build for permanence now, she tells him. Bruce nods as he comes up behind her treadmill. Tough sell, he notes. She nods and continues to work. Maybe, if I ever get into a room with Bruce Wayne to plead my case, I'll let you know, she says. Bruce nods and taps the off button on her treadmill. The treadmill stops mid-stride and Dr. Zeller stumbles back and lets out a startled yelp. But Bruce catches her easily. Bruce Wayne, hi, he says with a smile. She stares up at him before straightening up. Dr. Annika Zeller, hi, have we met? She whispers. Bruce thinks about meeting her as Batman, but shakes his head. Don't think so. It's my first time in the building. After the events of last night with the Riddler, I thought I'd pop my head in, see if everything was okay here, he tells her. Dr. Zeller pushes him away and heads for her desk. If I knew attempted robbery was what it took to grab your attention in time, I'd have broken in myself a year ago, Mr. Wayne, she tells him. Bruce nods and heads for the door with a smile. Bruce, and my time and attention are all yours tomorrow night. Say 7? I'll pick you up. Sorry to interrupt your flow, Doctor, he tells her as he steps back out into the hallway. Dr. Zeller's eyes widen in shock and she rushes after him. 7? 7 what? I don't, she calls. But Bruce doesn't turn around. The other scientists all stare in surprise. Do you have a date with Bruce Wayne? One of her colleagues whispers. Dr. Zeller looks at her in shock. What? No. What? No, she whispers. Meanwhile, red smoke begins to waft up from the sewers throughout the city. Many people begin to panic, thinking this might be another attack from some costumed supervillain. But the city promises the people that everything is okay. Night slowly begins to fall over the city once more, and someone knows that not all is well in Gotham. Lonnie Machine, also known as the villain Anarchy, looks out of the paper cover windows of his slum hideout. Damn it, damn it, damn it, he whispers. The red smoke is a bad sign. The thugs that have been circling his building for the last hour are worse. He turns back to his bunk and begins to load gear into his backpack. Quickly, he picks up his mask and pulls it on. Okay, be cool, he whispers to himself. He turns at a strange noise outside. Suddenly, the window shatters as the two goons are tossed inside and slam into the floor, a note taped to their chest. Friends of yours seem pretty stupid. B. Lonnie stares at the note in shock for a moment before turning and dashing for the door. He rushes out into the hall and runs towards the back windows, leaping out and hoping for the best. But he is snagged out of midair by Batman. What was the plan here, Lonnie? Batman asks before swinging back to the building and tossing Lonnie through a lower window. Because this one seems pretty weak, Batman notes. Lonnie staggers to his feet and reaches for his spray paint can, blasting Batman in the face and giving him a few seconds to run. It doesn't help, and Batman moves across the room swiftly and knocks Lonnie out with one kick to the head. Later, Lonnie awakens to find himself hanging upside down, Batman sitting in front of him. You try to steal a truck, fail miserably, and now you have gangs of goons lurking around your squat waiting to get you. Doesn't add up. How did a truck you didn't steal make Anarchy the Gotham Underworld's most wanted? Batman asks. Lonnie swings back and forth. I don't know, man. I swear. The guy paid me to boost the truck and dump it into the river. That's it. That's all. But everything went bad, Lonnie tells him. Batman nods as he inspects Anarchy's mask. Dead driver, dead flunky, dead cops, and 3 gangs gunning for each other. And for you. Bad undersells it, Lonnie, he notes. Batman leans forward, bringing his face close to Lonnie's. You're really scared here, Lonnie. You're so scared you jumped out of a window with no way down. Who are you running from, Lonnie? Batman questions. Lonnie stares at him for a moment. Are you messing with me? Can't tell if it's the concussion or the blood rushing to my head, or if you're messing with me. Some detective you are, Lonnie says, pointing out that Gotham has been quiet for some time now. There's a new guy in charge of organized crime in Gotham, and I'm telling you, he's got it really, really organized. Meanwhile, inside Old Wayne Manor, the Minotaur has gathered the crime families of Gotham City, sitting them all at a large table. Slowly, the Minotaur steps from the shadows around a grand stage. Where there is value, there is crime. Where there is crime, there is profit. And where there is profit, the Taurus shall reap, the Minotaur tells them, reminding them that they are all part of the Taurus, a spiraling, interconnected series of knots that the crime families of Gotham work together and thus earn a lot of money. And it works, as long as the 7 of us work together in harmony, he points out. He motions to his accountant, who explains that since the gang war has started, the Taurus organization is down $4.4 million each. At this rate, we'll miss quarterly projections in 8 days, Cutler explains. The Minotaur nods as he walks across the room and reaches for the curtain to the hastily built stage. In my function as the bank, I froze everyone's accounts. I thought if money meant more than your bond to the rest of us, cutting everyone off would get your attention. But just in case, I brought some of your family here tonight, the Minotaur explains, as the curtain is pulled away to reveal a member of each crime family with guns to their heads. Oswald Cobblepot, leader of the Thieves Guild, eyes widen in horror at the sight of one of his precious penguins. The Minotaur glares at them all, explaining that he has built the world's first resilient criminal empire. In 20 months, the Taurus will control a piece of every revenue stream in Gotham, both criminal and legitimate. In 20 years, the world. He holds up a hand. When one of us earns, we all earn, he tells the group. The guards cock their guns at the signal. But when one of us bleeds, we all bleed, the Minotaur tells them as he closes his fist. Gunshots echo through the manor, and bodies slump to the floor. Meanwhile, Batman swings through the city, thinking about what Lonnie told him with fear in his eyes. He's called the Minotaur Batman. He's turned Gotham City into a labyrinth of crime, and you're too late to stop him. We're already trapped inside of it with him, and there's no way out. Harborview, the Wayne Experimental Sciences Building. Dr. Zeller steps out the front entrance to find Bruce Wayne, dressed in a casual suit, leaning against the hood of his vintage muscle car. I'm sorry, is this a date? She asks as he opens the car door for her. Bruce smiles charmingly. Why would you think it's a date? He asks. She looks him up and down. You're dressed up, she points out. I'm dressed, he says with a shrug. He slips into the driver's seat and hands her a gift box. Is this a gift? She asks. Yeah, you think this is a date. Bruce glances in his side mirrors as they pull out. It's not a date, he tells her. She shakes her head. No, Mr. Wayne, it's not, she tells him. They begin to drive through the city, and Bruce tells her why he wanted to take her to dinner. But his eyes constantly stray to the side and rear view mirrors, to the group of motorcycles that have followed them since they left the science building. Doctor, I read everything about your work, and I find it fascinating. Hopeful, inspiring even, Bruce says as he whips in and out of traffic, but the motorbikes continue to follow them, weaving in through the traffic and catching up. Do you always drive like this? Dr. Zeller asks. Bruce smiles at her. Yes, I do. Thanks for noticing, he tells her. I was hoping we could come to terms on funding your project over dinner, but I think those men following us are trying to kill you. Annika turns in fear and looks behind them. Kill me? What? Who? She asks. The guys with swords back there. The motorcycles pull up next to them, and several riders draw katanas, and their passengers both begin to leap into the muscle car. He slams on the brakes. The wheels screech as the assassins leap through the air, colliding with each other and falling to the pavement instead of landing on the car. The bikes behind them slam into the trunk of the car and fly over them. Dr. Zeller watches as they slam into the pavement in front of them. Why is this happening? She shouts. Bruce shrugs as he changes gears and roars forward once more. Some guys just hate seeing the doctor, I guess, he says as they begin to weave in and out of traffic, the bikes quickly moving to catch up. Mr. Wayne! Annika shouts as she points to another group of motorbikes approaching from the front. I see them, and please, call me Bruce, Bruce tells her. He shifts gears and turns the wheel. I promise you that contrary to all superficial evidence suggesting otherwise, I know what I'm doing, Bruce tells her as he slams on the brakes and allows the car to spin to a stop, allowing the bikes to slam into them and the riders to fly over the car. One tries to slice down at Dr. Zeller, his blade cutting through her hair, but Bruce catches the lost strands of hair and hands them back to her. He shifts again and steps on the gas, aiming the car for the overpass wall and driving straight through it. Dr. Zeller screams as they hit the pavement below, but Bruce merely shifts and steers them towards an alley. The windshield is cracked and the hood dented, blocking his view. They They suddenly slam into an out-of-place dumpster and come to a stop.
Oh, drop my present.
Annika mumbles as she straightens her glasses.
This is such a bad date.
Bruce helps her from the car after she grabs the box, and the two rush down the rest of the alley. But they come to a stop at a large, barbed wire-topped fence. Not good, Bruce whispers. Behind them, there's a sound of crows cawing. Both turn to see a woman appear from a puff of smoke. A crow perched on her hat and a sword in each hand. "Doctor, stay down," Bruce says as he grabs hold of Dr. Zeller and tosses her into the nearby dumpster. The doctor lets out a squeak of surprise as she clutches the gift box to her chest. The assassin rushes forward, one of her swords slashing through the dumpster. Inside, Dr. Zeller screams in fear as the blade comes closer, but it bounces off the gift box, snapping the blade as it comes into contact with the cube of titanographene inside. The assassin slows in surprise as her blade breaks, and Bruce rushes her, throwing a well-trained kick at her head. But the woman ducks the attack and sweeps with her blade, the broken metal scouring against the body armor under Bruce's suit. She whirls and slashes, but Bruce dodges the attacks and allows the blades to cut through the fence behind him. Both Bruce and the assassin pause at the sound of approaching motorcycles. The front of the alleyway is suddenly blocked by sword-wielding motor ninjas. There's a caw of a crow, and the assassin leaps at the ninjas. Bruce just stares in surprise. "Huh?" he whispers.
So the woman made of birds and the motorcycle men aren't friends?
She notes. Bruce nods and leads her over to the sliced fence. "It appears multiple parties have interest in collecting a bounty on you, Dr. Zeller. That means chaos in the marketplace. Let's exploit it," Bruce says as he leads her through.
What the hell was in that box you gave me? It broke her sword,
she asks. "A cube of titanographene. My way of saying I look forward to working with you, Doctor," Bruce tells her. Her eyes widen in surprise.
I left it in the dumpster. It's worth a fortune,
she whispers. But Bruce holds out a hand for her. "I already have a fortune. What I don't have is more of you," he tells her with a smile. Quickly, they begin to make their way through the city, trying to stay in public areas on the streets. Finally, Bruce finds a building with a service ladder that will lead them to the roof.
"Yeah, I can't climb that in these heels,"
Dr. Zeller notes. Bruce cocks an eyebrow and glances at her. "Skirt, heels? You absolutely thought this was a date," he says with a smile as he pulls the ladder down and motions for her to climb onto his back. All aboard. Dr. Zeller jumps on and Bruce begins to climb the ladder.
"You really work out,"
Dr. Zeller notes. Finally, they arrive on the rooftop, but the crow assassin is already there waiting for them. Bruce sighs as he pulls off his suit jacket. "Stay down. Stay quiet," Bruce whispers to Dr. Zeller. He tosses the jacket aside and stalks towards the assassin. "Cute trick, but I'm not some tripsy sword boy on a dirt bike pretending to be a killer," Bruce calls to her.
"No, you are not. What are you, I wonder, when you're not pretending to be this?"
the woman asks. Bruce drops into a combat stance and readies his hands. "Come here and I'll show you," he growls. The woman charges forward with the caw of a crow, but Robin suddenly leaps from the shadows, throwing out an electric bat snare that zaps the roof and forces the assassin to disappear in a cloud of crows.
"The Oho. I studied her during my time with the League of Assassins," Damien notes. "Rapid onset decoherence is most effective to neutralize, assuming one must adhere to a no-killing policy, Father,"
Damien says as he turns back to Bruce, who is now glaring at him.
"Father?"
Dr. Zeller asks as she steps from the shadows. Damien's eyes widen and his face drops. Bruce Wayne and Dr. Annika Zeller sit on the back of an ambulance as the police work around them. Slowly, Bruce turns to Dr. Zeller and opens his mouth, but she shakes her head.
We don't have to talk about it, she tells him quickly. He cocks an eyebrow at her. I think we should. What you've learned tonight, it puts you in great danger, he explains. But she shakes her head again. Your parenting decisions are your parenting decisions. Who am I to judge? She says with a shrug. And no offense, Mr. Wayne, but between Moto ninjas and the bird woman with swords, I'm well past great danger, she points out. Bruce reaches for her hand, but she quickly snatches it away. Plus, who knows I know? Nobody. You, me, and him. That's it. I mean, I assume he'll tell, she says, using her fingers to make bat ears. And what's he gonna do? Call Child Protective Services on you? Beat me up like he solves every other problem he encounters? She asks. Bruce looks at her in stunned silence for a moment, realizing that Dr. Zeller still doesn't realize that he's Batman, only that his son is Robin. Finally, Bruce stands and starts to walk away. For what it's worth, Dr. Zeller, which I understand isn't much, I am truly sorry this happened. Bruce calls over his shoulder as he walks away, leaving behind the cube of titanographene. Later, he returns to the bunker beneath Pennyworth Manor, finding Damien bloodying his knuckles against a punching bag. Bruce glares at him for a moment. I know, Father, so save your... Damien starts to say, but Bruce steps forward and punches the bag hard enough for it to explode. He leans down into his son's face. No, son, you don't know. Believe it or not, science has yet to conceive a device so sophisticated as to calculate the massive sum of things that you don't know. Bruce growls. Damien glares at him. So smarten up before you get someone killed. Bruce finishes. Damien finally turns and stalks away. Master Bruce, the spirit of Alfred whispers, but Bruce shakes his head. Don't start, he growls. Meanwhile, the members of Gotham's criminal underworld are leaving the meeting with the Minotaur. Tozuki, provider of chemical and tech material for the criminal underworld, answers his phone to a screaming Hugo Strange. Bad time, Tozuki explains, but Strange will have none of it. Bad time? You incompetent moron! You don't know the meaning of a bad time! Strange shouts, flinging papers across the floor of his secret lab. Your idiot sword boys failed to eliminate that damn doctor! It's all across the news! He snarls. Strange turns back to the monsters that lurk in the shadows around him. Tonight, Hugo Strange will show you the only hand of God in Gotham City is mine! He snaps. Later that night, at the Tozuki CEI hub in Portside, monsters are tearing apart the office building, tearing through filing cabinets and destroying files as an elderly woman hides under a desk. Batman, 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 she whispers over and over again. Suddenly, the desk is torn away and flung across the room. The woman cowers with her eyes shut tight as the monster man leans over her and roars. Batman! She screams when a grappling hook smashes through the window and wraps around the monster before yanking him hard through the nearby wall. The woman opens her eyes in shock as Batman stands before her. Evening, ma'am. You're safe now, Batman promises her. He holds out a hand and helps her to her feet. I knew you could hear me, the woman says in gratitude. Batman cocks an eyebrow at her. Beg your pardon? He asks. She shrugs. Knew you'd come help. That's why I don't ever say your name out loud. Big bat ears of yours? Knew they could hear every damn thing in this town, she says matter-of-factly. Batman starts to shake his head. They aren't... Yes, ma'am. I heard you, he finally tells her, before asking her to flee to safety. Oh yes, sir, I can do that, but where are you going? She asks. Batman turns away and activates his bat blades. I'm going to fight monsters, he growls. Batman rushes at the gathering of monster men, slashing through the first one's stomach with his razor-sharp blades. Another one grabs his cape and pulls him through the air, slamming him hard into the ground. The monster men gather around him as Batman struggles to his feet. But suddenly, the room is filled with red laser sights. Gunfire erupts through the building, tearing through the wall and whatever else the monsters didn't already destroy. Outside, the GCPD SWAT continue to fire. "Nothing could survive this," one of them shouts, but everyone's eyes widen as Batman leaps off the rooftop. Suddenly, they are lit up by the Batmobile's headlights. The heavy muscle car slams into them and scatters the armored police. "Incoming! Topside!" Batman barks as he glides through the air and leaps into the Batmobile's open top. "Stop him!" one of the cops shouts, but it's too late, and Batman roars off into the night. Later, Batman returns to the bunker to find Tim Drake waiting for him. "Look at you. Long night?" Tim asks as he notices the cuts and scrapes on Bruce's face. "I'm sorry I wasn't on patrol too. We need to talk," Tim tells him. He lowers his eyes, refusing to look at Bruce. He explains that things are going well with Bernard, and he doesn't want to keep lying to him. "I think I need a break from this. From us," Tim says softly. There is a long pause between them. Finally, Bruce smiles. "What else have we been fighting for if not that? Tim Drake, you're the bravest soul I've ever known. You can always come back, but I hope you never have to," Bruce tells him. He reaches out to shake Tim's hand, but the young hero quickly steps forward and hugs his mentor. "Not really a hugger," Bruce whispers, but Tim shakes his head and hugs him tighter. "Shut up and hug back, you big baby," he whispers. Later, upstairs, Tim tries to explain things to Damian. "I don't have anything to say to you, quitter," Damian snaps from his room, refusing to open the door. Tim frowns. "Kinda had a feeling you heard all that," he sighs, trying to explain that he isn't leaving for good and that they can still hang out. "Why would I want to spend time with a deserter like you?" Damian asks. Tim thinks about it for a minute. "Dame, the world is so much bigger than the Batcave, Damian. I know it sounds impossible to believe, but it's true. I'm only now starting to figure that out, and I hope one day you will too," Tim finally says before turning away. Meanwhile, Dr. Annika Zeller returns to her lab. "How did it go, Doctor?" a computerized voice asks as she clicks on the lights. Dr. Zeller smiles at her patient. "My night was fine. I met his son," she says as she checks her instruments, noting that her patient has burned out another titanographene harness for the crown of thorns. "I see. So that was the end of your big night with Bruce Wayne. Do you think you'll see him again?" her patient asks. Dr. Zeller shrugs, pointing out that the man is prying. "I apologize. I get quite lonely sometimes. It's nice to have anyone to talk to, even if I talk too much," he says. She looks into the vat of liquid that the man floats in, smiling at him through the glass. "What about that friend you were telling me about? Were you able to reach out? Maybe schedule a visit?" she asks. "Oh yes, Doctor. I did manage to reach out. I haven't heard back yet, but it's only a matter of time. After all, he's my very best friend," the Joker says through his computerized communication. Dr. Zeller nods and steps up to his tank, putting back on the crown of thorns and continuing her work. And that was Batman, issues 1 through 6 by Matt Fraction. What did you think of the start for the Matt Fraction era for Batman? Let me know down below. And like and subscribe to help out the channel. I'm Dan with Comicstorian, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.